Hey, welcome everybody to the Battle Pirates Crib. We're going to discuss the new TLC and the upcoming special Halloween TLC. And let me go ahead and introduce everybody from left to right. Father George.
Good evening.
Dr. Death.
Hello.
And this is Hefe. So let's get started with it. I'm going to put Dr. Death on present, and we'll go through what's going on this week. All right, bug fixes. Because of range was not affecting display range in shipyards and base planner, I think this was related to a couple of ships, I think. The Revenant, and I think it was more specific than this, as I recall. Anybody had any experience with that?
I think that was the only one that was, I mean, that's the one that I saw most everyone making note of. I don't know if there was another one that was affected on it or by it.
Yeah, and the corrosive weapon range for the Witch Doctor does not appear in the shipyard. Yeah, that was around since the very beginning when it was released. So now it shows, what is it, plus 23 or something like that? I forget the exact number, but it was always there. It just wasn't displayed in the shipyard as a attack attribute. And the one that I did notice was if you prep for somebody in the raid targets and then you came in later, I think especially the 121, just random smart torpedoes would come out of nowhere, would appear to be the
from where the original ships were. Yeah, that was an old bug from, I can't remember what the other one was that we had it on. That one was a pain in the really pain in the ass. I want to check it.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It wasn't really well, it depends on what kind of ships they were bringing in. You know, I was going in there with bat rays, so I didn't even have to pay attention to it. But I guess if you were bringing in other ships, it could be an issue. If you're bringing the Razor Tail, you would have to avoid them. But the power of those ones, you could basically ignore them with 4 bat rays.
Yep. There's another bug fix that's not on this list. I don't know if anyone noticed the tactical fields or the tactical ranges in the base planner. They're back.
Oh, okay.
Now people have been complaining about that for at least a month and a half.
Yeah, they need to take credit for some of this stuff because you know the small list makes us assume that they're not doing as much as they are. Well, then there's also the weeks where they tell us something's fixed and it's not, but that's a whole different issue. Because I'm still hearing complaints that people are getting all their settings reset when they refresh at this point. I'm still hearing that complaint today. So it hasn't happened to me in a while, but I'm not really sure what the mechanism is behind that. But it still appears to be recurring. Okay, let's move on. You might have noticed in the in your base and in some of your target bases, the FM and whatnot, that it's Red Tide Awareness Week. So at least that's my assumption. They haven't, officially told us what this is, but it sort of looks like Red Tide, doesn't it?
Yeah, and we don't mean the Tide Pods, boys and girls. So
yeah, don't eat the Tide Pods. So no, this would be cool if they actually, I'm assuming it's Halloween related, but it would be cool if every time there was a big red tide outbreak, they put this on our base and we could have a little environmental awareness for our fellow pirates. But yeah, we see it here and there and the everywhere. So let's
I want Christmas lights for Christmas now. I mean, if we're going to do this, I want Christmas lights.
Let's back up. Let's back up 2. I wanted to bring up the fact that there's a poll out there right now on the forums dealing with sniping. They're looking at really seriously removing the sniping until they find a better solution removing the ability for PvE ships to be hit by anything. You can still hit Conqueror ships. And there's probably some fine tuning that I've thought of later. Like, it probably means if there's one Conqueror ship in there, it can be hit, because somebody could put four Conquerors and a gunboat and hit bases with it or do whatever with it, and that couldn't be hit. So I'm assuming one Conqueror in the hall would, in the fleet, would take care of this. But yeah, it's out there. Feel free to vote on this now, and it's a temporary solution until they find a better one. So what do you guys think about this?
I'm all for it. I mean, I've had people try and snipe me during raid. Well, they always try and snipe during raids and during bounty. And if you're out there and you got a Katie's and it happens to get caught from in between one of those pop-ups or whatever, or you get a little bit of lag, yeah, you're not a happy camper. And then the disparity between, like, say, MSC fleet hitting a dragon fleet. I mean, those dragon fleets take a while to repair.
Yeah,
it's bad enough we have to repair them after hitting a bajillion friggin' FM point targets to get all the points. But if someone snipes you because they want to be a dick, I mean, yeah, it's gonna ruin someone's day.
Yeah, I mean, you already have enough chances with flash crashes and weird mechanics in the game, let alone somebody else. And there's problems with the locator right now, where generally I can't find a 120 in my sector. I have to go to another sector to find one, because the locator is all fouled up at this point. Yeah, so I'm, as opposed to, I search around for a little while visually, scanning across the map, and then I use the locator. Now I'm going to a different sector in order to hit my FM targets, and it increases my risk that something like that would happen.
Yeah.
So
and just to note, because I have seen a lot of people have like a really quick gut reaction that, kick size is not going to change these and da da da. And I'm just telling you, if it were me, I would not bet against it happening. It's become a very real problem, and the thing is that when it does happen, a lot of players, because of the repair times, it's precluding them from participating in things, and it's essentially blocking them from engaging with the game. If you're a company, you don't want limited engagement. You want to maximize the engagement opportunities to your clients. So I wouldn't bet against it. I would not be surprised if they come up with something to at least curb what's going on right now, particularly between the those level 70 alts that are coming out and tagging your Chore fleets.
Yeah. All right. But yeah, go ahead and vote. And yeah, I heard they're going to provide coordinates of players that think that chore sniping is a good idea. So just fair warning there.
Yeah, we're also trying to get Ewok. We're trying to get Ewok to have an exception so you can snipe all of his fleets, but we'll see if we can get that one worked out.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead to chores. A small or odd job, routine task. Chores, the everyday work around a house or farm, a hard or unpleasant task. The antonyms of that is happiness and peace. I found that to be amusing, according to thesaurus.com. But I guess looks like we moved on, but I couldn't think of a better. Can you think of a better antonym?
Well, no, but it's so there's a lot of things that I have, because I have a little post up on the Bacon page, and I've actually gotten more mail from that than I have actual responses on the page. I'm not sure if people are afraid to put what they think on it, but yeah, go through this slide, and I'm gonna I'll kind of say what I've kind of gleaned from everything.
Okay. Yeah, I put a slide together. I tried to get some input on Discord. I got some, but it was mostly just fine-tuning it. I'll just do it by category. Outdated payouts. The cargoes on the map. The resources. The VXP has been capped at 10. As far as the damage that you do or the damage you take, and you can get up to 20. But historically, when this was developed and that cap was put in place, you, as an example, you could only get to, well, you could get to 25% ranking. And as an example ship, we used Sea Wolves, and that would require you to hit 155 targets in order to achieve, just doing offensive damage, in order to get to the max rank. But currently, like I looked at the Greta's Inferno Dragon, it would require you to hit 9,250 of these targets in order to achieve max rank. So something needs to be done because, as we'll talk about later, GXP weekend is a couple of days, or it's 36 hours for the big part of it. And we do get TLCs and whatnot, but this just seems like it's been this way for that long, and we'll just leave it that way and not pay attention to the amount of demands that have been put on the players that makes this 10-point cap just silly and completely antiquated.
Well, the other side of that though is that it's VXP that's out there all the time. Could they? I mean, they definitely have to increase it, but the catch is if they increase it too much, there's got to be a balance point because they still want people to engage and have the the monetization of the VXP weekend.
So yeah, but I'm saying 9,250.
I understand.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying remove the cap because it's based on the amount of damage you do to the armor in there. And as we've seen, it would actually require more than that with the amount of armor that's increased. Because if you send in 5, the 5 Inferno Dragons,
the calculations,
you're going to get 10%.
Yeah. The calculation is just completely jacked right now with the increase of armor on our own hulls.
Mm-hmm.
Just the native amounts.
Yeah. And then I don't know, for alliance points, how many of these things do you need to hit?
Oh.
A zillion?
What is it? 10? Do you get 10 per?
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Yeah.
10 per, yeah. So you need to hit 100 of them? Is that right? Yeah.
I don't know.
100 of them.
100 of them a week. Yeah.
Yep.
So, okay.
Rather hit a base.
Yeah. And then the next category I put under the is I call bad mechanic. The first that feels chore-like. Number 1 is wall upgrades. Any problems with wall upgrades? Or a solution to it?
I don't know. Like some of these, the chores, from what I'm finding, that players are having issues with isn't really this sort of thing. Like the rogue crew rolling is definitely one that would be in there. The other stuff is actually their own. Excuse me. Like I wouldn't the bad mechanic stuff I would actually list as bad mechanics instead of chores. You know what I mean? Like it's
but it still feels chore-like. You're sitting there clicking on this thing for hours and hours.
Yeah, but when I kind of pull players, that's I don't know
when you're polling players, but whatever. But we did get information. It does require 200 cargoes as far as the alliance.
So it's 5. Is it 5 per instead of 10 per?
Yes, 5 per.
Yeah, it was something like that.
But I don't even know how Venom still hasn't. His walls are still level 6, and I have limited number of level 10. I just can't sit there and let it go through the whole back and forth with the server, and it takes about 15 seconds per upgrade.
Right.
It's the other one we've talked about. The second one is called is the shipyard interface, which I brought up on the low-hanging fruit. And sorry, everybody, no low-hanging fruit girl today. We're doing this one instead. Sorry about that. Even though Dr. Jess complained that I was being lazy by using the same one all the time. No, I know she has some fans. But right now we have, I forgot because of Bounty. We have we used to have 292 ship specials, and I think we're up to 294, 295 that are merely represented by pictures that you have to mouse over to see what they are and understand what they are. And I broke it down into a filtering category. I think about 18 to 20. And if you watch the show regularly, you've seen the categories that I suggested. And it pretty much covers everything 2 or 3 times, except for the cryo battery, because that is such an outlier. And I really hope they fix this at some point soon, because it's not only inconvenient and very chore-like to go through all of them and try to find them, because if you earn a new one, they all seem to move, and it's not like you can learn it once. It's, and it's really much, it's maybe a me problem, because I have to go through and try and figure out builds, put slides together and whatnot. I do it way more than the person building a ship, but it's really annoying to try and figure them all out.
What I would really, really like is the option to go into, say, a like a spreadsheet view, so you could actually sort by what it does for specials or what it does for defense, or if I'm looking for something that increases ballistic range. That way you can sort the columns and you can actually see what you're trying to find. I mean, there's so many of them right now, and to try and first find the picture and then open it up and see what the special does and all that. I mean, I definitely, the UI definitely needs some loving.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's possible under Flash. I'm not certain.
If not, have it put it on. I'll put it on the damn forum. I mean, forum's got to be good for more than just
Yeah, but then you got to go back and find that picture again. You don't know where it is now. See, sometimes I'm like earlier today, I was looking for frontline countermeasure system, but somebody put some build somewhere, and I was like, it took me a while to find it. I mean, just where it's physically located out of all of those things. I know what it looks like, but just locating it takes some time. So, but it creates people to, I think it causes people also to just create bad builds, because they don't know what's out there. They don't know what the possibilities are, because they have to sort through basically 300 specials. So, okay. The next one is loot chests. For the people that like to do their daily TLCs and keep them, and then you get something like a garrison chest that we get from hitting in the FM, or the loot chest that we get in the raid. You have to keep on clicking, and some people have over 100 of the daily chests to find these chests to open up. I still haven't opened up all my loot chests from a couple raids ago, because I just can't be asked to just sit there and click and click and click and click.
Do you know what I find amusing? What? In the pop-ups today, there's three or four things that you can, scroll over to for the TLCs and all of the stuff. If you keep on scrolling over, it'll go back to it'll roll over into the beginning, or you can roll back to the end. You don't have to go forward and backward only. So the mechanic is in there. They know how to do it. I just don't know why they haven't added it to the loot chests.
Yeah, I'm not certain. And the other question is, for the garrison chest, some of these chests, the garrison chest and the loot chest, why are they even chests? There's no strategy in keeping them. I mean, you're going to get a shard one way or another. It's not like you're getting something that has a limit associated with it. It's not like you're getting build tokens or uranium or something where you could exceed the limit. There's no real reason to have them as loot chests that I know of. I mean, because you could just.
Like I said, Saturday, I think it's or Friday, whenever the hell the last show was. I think that's just a carryover from the mechanic they're using for the drop. I don't know that they can actually access, or if they can incorporate the same mechanic that they use for blueprint drops. So because it's the same essentially thing. It's just that blueprints are one piece of, say, 4 or 6, right? Whereas the shards are you can have unlimited shards. So maybe it's a different mechanic, or they're using a mechanic from somewhere else, and they just can't do a drop. I would love to see that fixed.
Yeah, or my theory was they forgot. The people that knew how to do that aren't around anymore. They forgot that was.
Well, they can always write another library for it.
Yeah.
Another function for it. It's not that hard.
Yeah. The next one is rogue crew rolling. I'll get there when I roll a rogue crew, and I will just sit there. I don't care about the uranium because I can get uranium easy, but just sitting there and clicking and clicking and clicking and clicking and clicking is very monotonous, very chore-like. One suggestion I would have is I would be willing to spend 5 times as much to have 5 road crews show up at the same time, and I could pick which ones I want. Do I want this one? Okay, I'll take these 2 and then throw back the rest and be able to hit 5 at a time or 10 at a time, in order to, but still have the option to do 1 at a time, but increase the options. I've heard other options where you choose a blueprint you want and it'll just charge you whatever until you get to that. Does anybody else find the road crew rolling to be extremely monotonous and
it is,
lag?
but I think the best option for them, or for everybody actually, would be to just fix the damn drop rates instead of tweaking them all the damn time, and then set the pricing accordingly. That way we don't have to roll 5,000 fucking times. If we pass one up, then you know what? It doesn't roll again. That's all.
Yeah. But I don't always go in there thinking I need to have 1. I'm thinking like, okay, these are the top 2 or 3 I want. I don't want to pay extra. I would rather see something like sort of what I'm describing, where in the same amount of time I get the ability to look at 5 or 10 and pay accordingly in uranium, and choose which ones that I want out of that grouping. Does that make? I don't know. That would be one thing that I like about it. I don't know about just picking one and
I
pay
just
for
don't
it.
know
I guess it could work.
Yeah, I just don't know if that's something that they, from their side, I don't know that they'd want to do that, because that just gives you, it's rather than have that kind of random drop type of thing. Now you're going, hey, here's a sampling, you can pick one of these, and it makes the whole thing completely different.
I'm still saying a random drop, but a random drop of 5 of them at a time.
Right. No, I understand.
As opposed to 1. Yeah.
No, I understand. I just think that's just, I don't know.
Okay.
From the other side of it, it kind of takes away some of that, the unknown.
Yeah. Okay. Inadequate points versus the point requirement, or the resource requirement.
Yes, everything.
Everything.
Okay. But some of the ones I highlighted with is the titanium targets, the bounty replica bases, and we're going to get into bounty later. The FM targets on the first week of the monthly cycle, and many of the raids. Are there any things that you guys would put above that? I know you guys said everything, but anything you would put as a higher priority?
Uranium. A lot of mid-level players are having all sorts of struggles with uranium. And the thing is, with each of the premium resources, the targets are becoming more and more niche, and if you don't have that fleet, you're boned for that entire thing. So, I don't know. That whole thing has to get looked at.
Okay. The other one, next category is things I consider to be exhausting. Having TLCs with 7 targets that you need to do in an hour, and then having 4 or 5 rounds of it. Not as it like, I don't like to sit there for an hour and constantly hit stuff. And also I'm like, okay, what happens? Okay, now I got 8 hours of damage and the phone rings, or the puppy needs to go to the bathroom. Makes it even more stressful when like something in real life is going to prevent you from getting it done in an hour, and you already got 10 hours of damage. It's just like so many of these. I'm like, I just can't be asked. I don't even want to deal with it because it's requirement to do all these targets that's been planned out to prevent you from repairing or whatnot within that time period, or be able to do them better or whatnot. But I don't find it enjoyable, and I do find it to be, I don't know, stressful or whatnot. I'm afraid something else is going to go on that's going to prevent me from finishing it when I already have like hours and hours and hours a day, half a day of damage.
True.
Okay. The other thing is target fatigue. We're going to talk about the TLCs that we're getting this week. But right now, we basically have 4 TLCs with the same targets with slight variations in damage between the 2 sets of them. But it's, I'm also getting tired of seeing, hitting 7 targets in an hour. And then having to hit it, let's say 3 times each, 12 times. I'm just tired of it. It's not enjoyable to continually hit the same targets over and over and over again that we've seen before. It's just, and then getting them all done in an hour. I just don't find it personally enjoyable. Any thoughts on target fatigue? Because I think we should be able to auto fleets, I don't know. At some point, we need to be able to auto stuff that we've seen 100 times. Once we've seen this target as, whatever number of times, we need to be able to have the ability in our ships to be able to auto it.
I'm just
not the first couple of times, but after we've seen it this many times, auto it for a reasonable amount of damage.
Yeah. See, I'm just sitting here in the corner looking innocent. I mean, there's a reason why I set my bar for my basis at auto and then drive from there, because once these things hit the map, dude, I'm already exhausted of them by the time the end of the raid. And target fatigue is actually now that right there is one of the nexus points of the chore feeling that people have for targets or for the game. We got the targets for 4 months or maybe now 3, I don't know. And then we have them for a year after, and it's like, yeah, I've had enough after the first month. I mean,
yeah. So the feeling is you should be able to auto them at that point, right? For very reasonable damage. We were able to, like with the 103 for base bards. If you have the proper setup with your hydras, I'm able to get as many base parts as I want, just with my build and just,
I auto those
repairing
bitches.
the flag and whatnot.
Yeah, I can auto those bitches and just sit and repair the flag and just go indefinitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're winding it up. Too mmany activities running concurrently. I think they've been doing a little bit better with this. But because right now, like, we don't, on the first week after the raid, the week that we have the VXP weekend, they've dropped they've dropped all the necessary VXPs, and they keep on including the mega TLCs, which doesn't require repair time. But sometimes, like right now, we have 4 TLCs that require the same fleet. 4 TLCs for the Mana Core.
And then the other TLC requires your FM fleet.
So can I just make a 3rd week in a row to recommend everyone build that Katie's? I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that with the TLCs as far as because it's getting ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. Okay, the requirement to log on either through every 6 hours or at a random time to either do repairs on your ships. Like, okay, I have a repair that's going to end in 2 hours and it's midnight. Do I but I still have other fleets I need to repair. The idea of being able to queue them would take care of that. And then the grants, that we get in bounty. That's another one that it feels more chore like. If I have to wake up at if I go to bed at midnight, now I have to wake up 5 hours later or whatever in order to collect a grant or do whatever. Any thoughts on that one?
That one's tough. I mean, a lot of games online have something set up similar in some regard, but the thing is, it's usually tied to a reward. So this one's there's some movement that they could easily do there.
Yeah, especially the repairs. I think the repairs, if you could set up some sort of queue to repair. I'm not sure technically how hard that is, but and you can plan out your ship builds. That's the way I always plan out my ship builds. I'm like, well, as long as my shipyard doesn't get hit, so that's a whole different issue. But I plan it out. Okay, am I going to be awake and around at this period of time, or is my shipyard just going to be sitting there doing nothing for hours? So,
right.
So, all right. Any other chores? Anything else you guys would like to add?
Yeah, the thing that I've found from all the messages and the posts and everything that I've been kind of trying to organize, because the thing is, the easiest way to have a discussion is to boil down what the nexus of the problem is. And with the chores, it's a lot of this touches on some of it, but essentially what it comes down to is time. The overall time requirement that it takes in the game from both actually having to do the chores and then the time that you're precluded from engaging in anything else in the game because you had to do the chores. So repair times and stuff. A lot of people want to be able to come on and play for an hour or two and be done. And, there are times when I come on and I can auto everything. I mean, I made sure that my designs were so I can auto in case I need to get stuff while I'm doing something else. The problem is it still takes time to auto, right? You still have to pay attention to them because people are trying to still snipe and be dicks. And the actual mass amount of time, because you're also talking to your alliance mates and the sector people and everything else. You're still participating in the community, and Kixeye knows this because they made the global chat. So your time that you invest for just taking care of absolute basics has gone up tremendously. And then when you add in the FM time on top of that, and then you add in that you can only repair one fleet at a time, there's no queue, and you're like, okay, I'm going to go and do, I'll hit like 10, 12 FM targets, and then I'm repairing overnight. Well, that's my game. I'm done. I'm not going to hit any bases. I'm not going to be able to do any TLCs. It's the time crunch is the part that is the one link through every single or almost every single complaint that I've gotten for the chores. A lot of times people feel that, and I mean, we've been conditioned over the years. We have that feeling that we need to get everything because you never know what's going to work well, what's not going to work, what you're going to need later on down the road. And it essentially comes down, like I've had a whole ton of different things of, oh, well, the organization's bad, and you got the chores and the campaigns and the FM and then this and that and that. And then when I sit down and ask specific questions, it generally comes back to a basic time requirement and the preclusion of the player being able to play what he wants or he or she wants to play in the game. So you come on to play and I feel like smashing a base or two right now, but you know what? Oh, I can't do that. My shipyard's about to finish and I need uranium to do this or titanium to do that. And, you're scrambling to just keep the engine running instead of, you know, taking it out for a spin. And that's where the main like feel is. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, it feels like another job. And it's because you're not actually gaining anything that you want to come out of it. You're actually doing shit that you don't want to do so you can get to the part that you want to do, which is just like work. You work all damn week so you can get to the weekend and have fun with the money that you earn during the week. That's not how a game should be.
Yeah. I've had this conversation before as Battle Pirates has progressed throughout the years. At the first part, it was a PvP game mostly at the start of it, and the players sort of created that because there wasn't anything to do. But over the years, they introduced so much PvE content that's a huge part of the player base that they do this for the PvE content, and they don't consider it chores if it's fun, engaging, and not continually repetitive and just click, 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 click. That they want some sort of entertainment out of it. And I agree with you. There's a huge part of the player base that's what they're looking for, is to go hit bases and do PvP stuff.
It's not, no, you misunderstand me. It's not just to come on and hit PvP stuff. It's the ability to come in and choose what the hell you want to play.
Yeah.
When you come on, you're just trying to keep the engine running instead of engaging in the part of the game that you want to, be it base hitting or be it whatever the fuck you want to do. The catch is your hands are tied a lot of times when you come on because you have to take care of the quote unquote chores. And when it comes down to it, even the PvE players, all of this, it's the same thread throughout every single one of them. It's time and preclusion. Those are the two main components for every single complaint when you boil them down.
But yeah, but the targets, I swear we had a lot more targets years ago. You know, PvE targets, you know, than we do now. Because now, I don't remember getting targets just continually recycled the way that they are. Does anybody else see that?
Well, you know what the problem is back then we were only getting like one TLC a month.
Yeah.
So, you know, they didn't have to worry about recycling. You know, there wasn't that big of the one TLC a month versus what are we doing now? You know, 8, 10 TLCs a month now.
Yeah, 8 to 10. It's probably about right. Combined with Bounty, FM, the event, and DXP weekend.
Yeah, and part of that is also their disconnect, Kick-Size disconnect with the player base, not realizing that, you know, there are a lot of players that, you know, you might say it's not required. Yeah, okay. And every single player that's been around for a while is going to go exactly like that. Yeah, okay. It's not required. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
no, it's not required. Yeah, it's not required. You don't need to. I don't need to play either. I mean, that's the catch. Is, you know, let's keep it within context here.
Yeah, because we never know what's going to happen. You know, what's going to happen to make something relevant. So yeah, okay. Are we done with the chores portion, or are we?
Yeah, I think. Okay. I mean, there's we can go on this for a while.
Oh my goodness! Oh yeah.
I mean, it's between.
You want to go back to the chores after having to talk about Bounty?
Between well, Bounty. I mean, I didn't mind Bounty at all, but it was still the wow. I don't know. The chore stuff is just, I have, what the hell did I have? Like 70 something comments, like another 120 messages on just that one post. And there's a lot of people that, I mean, a lot of players. I don't know that I think there was one player out of the whole thing that was like, oh, I'm okay with the way things are. Okay, cool. I'm happy for you. But I don't think anyone else is. So, but yeah, let's hit Bounty real quick because I have like a whopping 5 minutes, I think.
Okay. I need to go grab a beer. So you two talk about Bounty, and I'll be back in a second.
I want it fixed, man. I mean, it's supposed to be. I understand a lot of players hate this position. It's a PvP event. It's meant to have players hitting bases. There's a lot of broken mechanics. One of them is that banking system. I hate to break it to everybody. There's got to be some reward for the risk, and right now there's not really that much risk in the system, except for base hitters, for the people hitting the bases. So, I don't know. The way they had it set up, I think they could play with it where they have some lower tier tech or lesser things for really cheap. So players that can only go in and bank, the 800 a day or whatever the hell it is, they'll have something to get. But the upper end top PvP stuff should be the stuff in PvP, and it should not be anything defense wise. No fucking turrets unless they've already been released. No defense hulls. None of that crap. All that stuff should be in like FMs or raids that everyone can get to. The PvP stuff, bounty should be just offensive PvP oriented stuff to let those PvP players that love smashing bases and are into PvP get their crap and get started. Because that's who usually interacts at the top end of those base hits as those players. So there's some issues with bounty, and they had said something that they were going to try and do some sort of changes for this one, and I didn't see any change at all, except for the auto banking for the nexuses, and that didn't even work the first time. So I don't know. I think it has some potential, but I also think that right now, because PvP is broken and they're not even looking at bounty, and bounty's way broken now. So at this point, just put in the bonus that you get for every single player base, and if people want to spend the time and exploit it, let them. I mean, damn thing's broken. At least you'll have them engaging.
And they had a serious lag issue, this bounty too.
Yeah, there was a lag. I think I noticed that after they had put the opponent bases back on, they didn't have one of the daily campaigns up, and I don't know if it was the base hitting one. I can't remember what the hell it's called. So I don't know if there was some sort of interaction there. I don't know if it was some of the mechanics with things that they were implementing for this nice red tide thing. I'm not sure what it was, but even after they had corrected it, there was still a lot of reports of players lagging out and having issues. I saw a lot of players just start autoing the lower level opponent bases, which most of them were doing anyway. So it's just that once in a while you get caught with that level 80 something that had like all the turrets, which was really interesting when your fleet came out dead. Or it was, you'd get in there and the fleet was spinning circles in the middle of the channel because it didn't know where the hell to go. I mean, there was some oddities, but I mean, for the most part, there was some lag issues. There was some banking issues. I know I had an issue a couple of times banking, and then I'm trying to think of what else people have sent in. I don't know. Was there anything else that we missed for some of the stuff that they had to fix or work on? I know the banking one they had fixed after the first day. And that one was only in some certain specific situations, but they had that corrected within a day. Then they took the opponent bases down for a day, and that's where we got that extra 10,000 bounty, which I'll say this, at least, they actually were proactive about that. I mean, they put out the damn thing. You're going to get this. That was a big positive. So anybody that played bounty got 10,000 bounty. And if you were even a little itty bitty guy, you could at least get like the MSC stuff. So next bounty, you'll be able to do the low end targets at least if you get one or two of those out. I mean, even two of them. I think you can probably pull it off with two of them. You couldn't get like the armors and stuff, but I mean, you could at least get the weapon, the special, and the hull, and then you kind of have a good starting point to do that. And that was great. I love the fact that they actually did that, and that they were proactive in trying to kind of counter that lag. So, am I happy that it took a day? No, but I mean, at least it was being worked on rather than just kind of going, oh well, suck it up for the weekend.
That's true.
So that's a plus. I'm very glad that they did that 10,000 bounty. That was a definite boon to the players.
Yeah, the 10,000 bounty was cool. It just wasn't like for a lot of players, especially the ones that I described earlier that are more attuned, that started later. and more attuned to the sort of PvE environment. You feel forced into bounty to get the technology that they need because there was defenders in this.
See, this is what happens when you walk away for a beer. You miss like the entire conversation.
Okay, all right.
And you cover stuff we've already covered.
Okay, all righty. All right.
That was one of the caveats was that bounty, yeah, absolutely have PvP event be PvE, but I mean PvP event be a PvP event, but the top end stuff should be just offensive PvP tech. It can be turrets and all that other shit. It should be stuff that was already in there. Defender stuff, raid and FM. I mean, that just makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, and on that note, I actually do have to bounce for a little bit.
Okay.
So have a good night, everybody. I'll try and catch the show or come back in for after show or something. So have a good night. Thanks for coming in, and I'll see you guys Friday.
Okay. All right, have a good one, buddy.
Thanks, George. See you later. Yeah, and we are going to open this up to anybody who'd like to join the show in a couple minutes and rediscuss the chores part and see if anybody has any new input associated with the chores. Let's move on. I think we're going to talk about some TLCs. Major Razor. From what I've seen so far, I haven't engaged in this. It appears to be tuned for one of two groups. Players that do not have these flags or own KDs.
Yeah.
So, because I'm seeing, I think Magic Mike, you said you were getting close to 12 hours. People are getting close to 12 hours damage to get a nailhead rocket. That's, yes. And wow. Oh, because he's a moderator, he's allowed to use that kind of language. Okay. I'm going to have to figure that out. But yeah, it's fair. I think it's balanced. Like I said, for either you don't own the flagship or you have a Cadies, because the Cadies have a huge advantage in these targets.
Yeah,
and it's easy for these players to do it, and because to go through all that repair for some build tokens it seems too much for the rest of the players. But I guess, it sort of makes sense, but I don't know. I'm sort of torn on this one. I'm not. I own both of them, and I'm not sure that I'm doing either. I own both flags, and I'm not sure that I'm going to do either one of these because of the amount of damage. I'm going to try one and figure out if I can, figure out the target, because I think they've gone back to the old targets on these ones, where you're probably better off using the scatter guns. The last grouping that we had last week that have carried over, you were better off with the missile because, as you mentioned, Dr. Death, they lowered the armor on the last group, and so the missile was more an advantage because it does less immediate damage.
Right. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do either one of these. I've got both the flags already. I've got them both built. I've got them both scolded. So I really have no interest in doing either one of these campaigns. I think they've got them tuned just a little bit too high for the players that actually would need to do this.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to the next one, which is more of the same. Previously, they made a hot fix because previously it showed that you would only get a 1-day Brennis token at the mastery level, not ×2, but they've gone ahead and they've fixed that. So that's now they're both equal. We were wondering, why they would give more build tokens to the Occams, but I guess that was a oversight in some way. We were assuming, I was assuming, because the bat ray was so much better at doing the targets on the map that, like, okay, we don't need to give you as much incentive to build them because they rule over certain things. So, all right. But again, it's the same thing as the other one. So, Major Rager and Cover of Darkness it's the same targets, and they're very punitive. So let's go on next so we can get to Turrets of Terror Elite. What do you think about this? I have all these and probably more than I need. We do get some build tokens, generic build tokens, but you still fall in that grouping that has a limit of 2. So it's not going to help me get my shipyard done or anything like that. What I was really hoping for this week, and maybe we'll get it some point soon, is these campaigns that gave us the 7-day build tokens, structured build tokens, so we can build our shipyard without having a huge interruption in what we're trying to do as far as the game, because your shipyard being down it's a big thing.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to do that.
I think they're going to do it eventually. I just don't know at what time you're going to do it. So I would at least hope that they do it at some point soon. But who knows? There's some good stuff if you don't have. Well, it's not really. I mean, my favorite of this group is the Cold Snap. It prevents the what's the name of the special that blows up and stuns you?
EMP.
Yeah, the EMP blast. Yeah, it shuts down the EMP blast. That's a really good one to have. Spread them throughout your base so you can shut that down, and constantly keep them cold snapped. That's strategically, it's a good one. Phlogiston Launcher 2, Phlogiston Launcher was a good one. I'm not sure so much after they released the most recent armor and bounty. We'll probably talk on Friday about what's going on now they added that armor. I think it's much more imperative that at this point in time they do the refactor now or something. They need to do something, because if you build your ship right, you can get through anything.
Yeah.
So it's the game is PvP is extremely unbalanced with this new armor in there, because there's it's sort of ridiculous. It's not making me happy. So all right. And unless there's anything else you got, there's some good specials in here. There's some good stuff to have if you don't already own it. I already own it, so it's not a huge bonus for me personally. And we could talk about this on the once I open up the show, as far as how other people feel about it that may not own all this stuff. The kinetic motion cannon is useless for me. I think you're better off putting more armor on because it's really heavy. Anything else, Dr. Death?
No, that fuel tank's a good one to have if you don't own it.
Yeah. There's a lot of good specials in here. Like I said, the specials are great. I mean, heavily ballistic shells. They also had projectile speed. There's some. The specials are good. It really depends on what level you are as far as your base goes, as far as whether these specials will go. The Halo, the Javelin 2 are basically space fillers to get to your maximum tier 7 capability, or tier capabilities to get to the 200%. But by themselves, they're not really potentially that effective before the refactor. So, all right, let's go on to the next one, and then we can. Oh, I found this one interesting. There's a time limited offer right now, especially for people that want the Hyper 30s. gives you 2 ship build tokens, which normally cost 96 gold, and then they're tossing in a hyper 30. So people that have gold that want to spend and have the hyper 30 and need a hyper 30, this because I heard several people complaining they were low on them. This seems like a good special. I mean, a good deal.
A good deal.
Yeah, because you're getting it basically half price for the ship build tokens, and then you get this hyper 30 thrown in there on top of it. So, and you can spend existing gold. They're not going to ask where you got it. So, as opposed to most of the other ones ask for new cash infusion into the game. So it's interesting. There's another one with the new MSDS and things like that. So, but this one I found the most interesting because people were short hyper 30s, which are really useful on the Bat Ray and Razortail.
Yep.
So let's move on. All righty. The Flying Dutchman. There's during this show, or right before the show, they released the forum announcement for this. The 2 main new prizes are the Gale Defense System 4 and the Concurrent Anti-Torpedo 1. I don't know. It's going to be very difficult to get them, from what I've heard, and I don't know. Is there any chance
they're going to drop as random shards with a whole bunch of other stuff mixed in that can also drop? You got to get 5 shards to get 1 blueprint.
Yes. And yeah, there's a split between them. I don't know. Is there any chance that you can? Do you have that open?
No, I sure don't.
Okay. Is there any way you can? I can take you off present if you want to. Any chance we could scroll through it?
Yeah,
well, Ben Richards is. It appears he's giving his wife a Dutch oven. That's a very nice gift. But yes. But basically, the Gale Defense System 4 is an improvement in accuracy and salvo over Gale Defense System 3. But they're going to be, I would set your expectations low as far as earning more than one of these, at the very least. And then the anti-torpedo stuff on the far right, that's a brand new thing, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But the thing that it screams out to me is I feel like we need to have a anti-dedicated ship in order to effectively use this. Yeah, somebody yells coin grab. I'm not going to call it a coin grab, but I think I consider these to be sort of luxury items. They're mixed in with skins and whatnot. Yeah, we're going to have to see these in action. I could see them working well, but we haven't seen them in action because, I can imagine a huge amount of damage just to get one of these. And, but I'm pretty sure that we're going to be able to earn these later at some later point. So don't feel incredibly disappointed if you don't, you're left over with a couple of shards. So I'm going to take you off present, Dr. Death, and let me know when you get a chance to get to that forum posting, and we can. Everybody's in love with the Bat Ray skin. All right, you're back up. Okay. All right. Whoops, not anymore. Okay. Let me know when you're ready, Dr. Jeff.
I'm just getting on the kick site so I can pull it up.
Okay. All good. Lady Cat, we get these by hitting a target that requires, you can't auto them. The expectation is you're going to have to take a fair amount of damage. They're intended for your bat rays and your razor tails. Yes, before it's mentioning that robot took 2 hours or 220 minutes of damage. So, just shy of 4 hours. From what we could tell from the information that was provided on Discord, he was not using a flag to achieve that number. The Brennus or the Osm's Razor Tail. So it'll be interesting to see what the improvement is. The other question I did ask, are these a preview of some sort of new S set? And it was responded, the answer was no. And there's supposed to be some skill and thought into driving these. So, all right, I'll put you back on present. And begins Friday at 9 a.m. kicks time and ends Monday 9 a.m. kicks time. Rolling. Oh, this is like a raid?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. So these are gonna be, I don't know. You guys can look at it. This popped up right before the show started, so let's just briefly go through it and then we'll, let's go down. Let's go down to targets. I haven't really had a chance to read this. There's 2 targets. They have different drop rates. One appears to be spawning little other ships. You can't retreat. You can run at a time. We don't know what the timer is, and or all your ships are destroyed. That's when you lose activity points, which I think goes towards a different thing that's associated with the skins. Let's move down a little bit. All right, the high rate is the Gale 4, and the other one is the new Torpedo Anti, and then there's the shards for the skins, and then the low chance. I'm glad it's a low chance. Hope it's a really low chance, because I'd be really disappointed to take 4 hours of damage plus to earn any of these things in the low chance category. I would be highly disappointed. I would be highly disappointed to get skin shards too, but it's just me. Some people may like them. And here's the lesser target. High chance of getting nothing I need. And I guess the question is, if you already own, the Hunter MK1, the Apex Hunter, and the Wolf's Tooth, I'm assuming you're getting pushed down to, resources, advanced resources. I'm assuming that's the way it works.
That and skins.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how this works out. But let's probably the reason that they're doing it. Let's go down to look at the blueprint for the Gale Defense 4. We saw the comparison with the Gale 3. The big increase is the increase in accuracy from 35 to 50%. And then once you start adding on different specials, that's going to vastly increase this and make it much more effective. And the new one is the anti-torpedo, which is a countermeasure. So it's can't increase countermeasure accuracy in PvE with specials. So it's it'd be interesting to see how this works. Both of these, you can get a limit of 10. And I guess the reason everybody's doing this is keep on going down. People want the purple skin. And I think the bat ray is the one that everybody seems to like. And the razor tail that sort of looks like a pumpkin. So, and then we got a couple of badges. The Ghostbuster and the Ghost Hunter. And if you exceed your capacity associated with any of the advanced resources, it appears they spill over. Let's see. Stay on the flanks of the Dutchman. Try and keep the Dutchman from cornering itself. That's interesting. The skiffs in the high-level target will begin to spawn faster as the health goes down. Make sure you're timing out your killing blow correctly. Okay. I guess we're done with that. Do you want to go back to the slides unless you got any insights that you have?
Nope.
Okay. If you can go back to the slides, I'm not sure how many we have left, maybe one or two. All right, let's move on. Oh, do we have it doesn't appear that we have a second VXP weekend this month. So, as you guys know, my theory is that VXP weekends cause hurricane landfalls in the U.S., but it doesn't look like we're having one because it would have been announced with this update. So at that, I'm going to post the link for everybody to join the show. And if you could, Dr. Death, if you could go all the way back to the chore slide where I listed out the chores, we can talk about that in case anybody would like to join. And feel free if anybody wants to join us. Is there anything else you wanted to discuss, Dr. Death, while people have a chance to join?
No, not really. I'm just concerned with what this Halloween thing is because I think that the anti-torp is going to be a must-have. Because every time they add something that works real well into the game, they always tune the targets based on that.
Yeah. No, I can understand your concern. Hey Ben, how are you doing?
Good. How about you?
Oh, okay. After the show goes for an hour, I start to get worn out. But yeah, I'm doing okay.
Show fatigue.
What?
Show fatigue.
Yeah, show fatigue. Yeah, target fatigue and show fatigue. But do you have anything to add, especially on the chore part?
Oh boy. They need to make them less.
Yeah. Is there anything like actionable that you look at something and say, if they change this that way, it would feel less chore-like?
The TLCs, definitely, because I consider them a chore. And like you said, the 7 runs in an hour, that's ridiculous, especially when you're basically forced to coin your fleet if you want to finish it.
Or not be afraid that we're going to have a flash crash, a phone call. There's so many things associated with that. And I'm not at the age where I want to sit down and be intensely involved with a video game for an hour straight. It's not the way I'm wired anymore. I might have been wired that way years ago. And I know the demographics of this game are pretty close to me and maybe actually are a little bit older than I am. And I don't think that group, besides Magic Mike, like to sit there and grind something out for an hour. An hour straight.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay. Do you have anything else you want to discuss? Because it appears that Dr. Death scared everybody off, so we can go to the after show. Unless you got anything else you'd like to discuss.
Well, I don't know if you've seen, there's no half repair on this spooky activity this weekend. The Flying Dutchman.
Yeah.
No half repair. So there should be.
We haven't seen the targets. We've sort of heard about the targets as far as what the expectation is for robot hitting one without a flag of 2 hours and 20 minutes. The flag should make, if you have the flag, should make it much more efficient damage-wise. But yeah, and it's supposed to be like a timing and driving type of target, but it is a little frightening. I think that robot who designed the targets knows the inner workings of the target. At the 2 hours and 20 minutes, I don't think the first couple people that hit them are going to get 2 hours and 20 minutes. So I'm afraid of 12 hours and 20 minutes is more my fear and expectation.
Yeah, mine too. I mean, I'm going to try it just to see, new target. Something different.
Yeah, and it doesn't appear that they're preppable because retreat is considered a loss condition according to what we read.
Right, and they heal when you retreat. Everything respawns.
Okay.
What I read on that.
Okay.
And something else I read in the forum post on it is that if you have the max of something in a chest, whatever shard would drop, if you got the max, it'll just be an empty chest.
Well, I think that was more talking about the resources, because we don't really max on shards.
Resources. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
like the Apex shards. If you already had the Apex blueprint.
Okay. I'm going to have to reread that because that doesn't make a lot of sense. That disincentivizes a lot of people to do things. I did read that about the resources when we went through it, but I mean, I believe what you're saying, but I just, I'd like to read through that again in order to make sure that's the way they worded it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not discounting what you said, but that would be a mistake.
Yeah.
And a big oversight. So.
Okay.
1 second.
Oh, okay, that was you. How are you doing, Mike?
I'm getting by.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Do you have any thoughts on is there any things that any comments on that? What's an additional chore, or what a potential solution might be to a chore that we haven't already discussed?
A solution.
An additional chore or a solution for one. Okay. All right.
Think on that for a minute. You said that we haven't already discussed, and that's where.
Okay.
I think you covered most of them. Everything is just really grindy, and if I wasn't built the way I am, I would not like doing it.
Yeah.
And
I suspect the kind of grinder.
Yeah, it's like you got to be a grinder to
yeah,
enjoy that stuff.
Yeah.
I did the one prize pack on the TLC, and then I counted up my tokens. I may have enough tokens to get my fleet done, so they can keep that done on TLC. That's just a pain in the butt.
Okay. All righty. Well, going for an hour and 50. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss, or can we proceed to the after show?
No, I think you can proceed to the after show.
Okay. All righty. I'm gonna post the link one more time, and feel free to join us in the after show. A lot of people don't are a little YouTube shy and feel more comfortably talking there. So see y'all on Friday. We'll still have the same BP Chores conversation, and like I said, it's an open mic, and so you can all join. And if I've missed something completely, because I missed this chat's been going crazy on the right hand side, and I know I might have missed some stuff.
No. Go lay down.
Okay.
Go lay down.
Already. I'm not sure what's going on right now, but I'm gonna, let you guys join the show, and we're gonna go off the air until Friday. And feel free to join us for the open mic.
Night, everyone.
Night, people.
Guten Nacht.
Good night.
Thanks for showing up.